Howdy fixers, so today we're going after the old power steering pump on this 98 Chevy s10 pickup, and down here you can hear it's really floppy, and that's because the bearing went bad and the hose on the back of this pump actually blew and there's been running for a while without any fluid in it, so that's why it's so bad. The first thing we gotta do, we gotta take off our fan here, and we're bust the fan loose, and then we're gonna take our fan shroud off so we have better access to our power steering pulley. So as you can see, I got my handy dandy chain tool here on my water pump pulley, and it's actually going to hold it against the alternator, I think is what it is, and it's going to break out my fan loose. If you lose your belt or something like that, you're going to have to figure out something like this in order to break your nut loose on your fan. So now I went ahead and I'm going to start taking off my 10mm bolts from my fan shroud on the bottom and up here on top. So in order to get better access, we're going to have to take our power steering compressor off and take it out of the way. So there's this bracket here that it's got to come so I can get my whole AC bracket off here. So now we're going to go after a pulley. So this is a power steering pulley puller, and there's different sizes you can get. You just want to make sure you have the right size that goes around the shoulder on this and doesn't pull off easily. And it just comes right off like that. You see the shaft's super loose because the bearing inside went bad. Alright, so now that we got the pulley out of there, we gotta go ahead and go after our bolts. These 13s are actually what hold the pump on, and we're gonna get these 14s and 15s off, get all those, and there's actually be another bracket that holds this pump on once you get this big AC bracket and everything in the back off. And we want to get this 10 off too. So there is two bolts. There's a bolt here on the back side towards the exhaust. You gotta take this off. That's a 14, and then there's a nut here in the front you can just loosen, and the bracket that holds your power steering pump should come off. Also, this hose here is actually exploded. That's the reason why our pump went bad, because the high pressure hose broke and the fluid went everywhere. Oh, the pump is loose, movable. So your big hose here that's clamped on like that, that is your high side hose, and this is your low side hose, because you can use it like a regular hose clamp for it because it doesn't have any pressure on it. So I'm going to use a pair of pliers, move this back and forth, get out of the way, get our pump out of here, get that line off. Alright fixers, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take these 15s off, and then I got to take my 5/8 hose line off. And I don't know if I take this part off, because sometimes you do, because this is actually what controls the pressure buildup for your high side. So I'm going to take this line off and go check my new pump, see if I got to take that off. So I'm going to break it loose and see what we got to do. So your next steps, you want to take your 18s, these off here, and leave them in the same spot until you switch over to your new pump, so you know exactly where they came off of. And do that. Okay. So these are loose, and this is my new pump, and they come with plugs. I'm going to take these plugs off, take the plug off here, and it does come with a new pressure valve. So we're going to swap our stuff over here. I'm going to go ahead and put this into place. I'm going to run it down. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean off my bracket, just so I know I've been there before. If it ever comes through, I have to come back out. Like, oh yeah, I cleaned it. But okay, so here we go. So now that I got this back into place, I'm going to go take my high pressure line off and go the other way. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get my line off, and I think that's going to be a 17, and after I get that, I'm going to go ahead and spray all this off with some carb spray or brake clean, and then I'm going to hit it with the air hose, just make sure it's clean, so I know if there's any leaks in the future, if it's going to be from my oil cooler lines, which is pretty prevalent for those that go bad, or from my power steering hoses themselves. But these kind of look like they're leaking already. And clean this off and make sure that's what's going on. Okay, so now that you got your pump back together, you go ahead and put it back in the car, and you want to put your line on first, your high side, and then feed your bracket back onto your bolts, so then it's easier to do everything, and make sure your line gets tight. Alright, so you go ahead and tighten down your power steering pump, and we're going to put our bracket on, and we're going to put our bolts in for our pump first before we tighten anything else. Okay, so now that I got my bolts all tight for my bracket and I got my power steering bolts on there, I'm using a power steering installer tool. And when you install it, they're pretty self-explanatory. You just want to pay attention to how far the pulley was on the shaft before you take it off, and then this is pretty good. So I got a brand new belt, and I put that on, and now that it's tight, I'm going to go ahead and use my wrench I took off before, and I'm going to use it to put my belt, or my fan back on. Then I want to go ahead and add some fluid, and once I add some fluid, I'm going to jack it up, and then I'm going to move my steering wheel back and forth. Howdy fixers! So that is how you do the power steering pump on your 98 Chevy S10 or GMC Sonoma 4.3 power steering pump. And you can see that the power steering pump was pretty wobbly. What had happened is the guy, he went on a long trip, and he was on the freeway, so he didn't have to turn a whole bunch, and the hose blew. And then by the time he got back to where his home was, it already, you know, ruined everything. And you can see that there was some rust on the shaft of the power steering pump. That means it got super hot. If you have any questions or anything like that, just give me a comment down below. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, tell a friend about it. If you really like my video, just tell a friend. Appreciate it. One of the main things that I didn't quite get to in the video, because I kind of ran out of time for what I covered, is that you want to make sure you jack up the front end of the vehicle and just work your steering wheel back like 10 times or so, and that will actually help you force all the air out of your system, so you don't have to sit there and move the steering wheel back and forth till it stops whining, because that's why your power steering pump whines when you first put it in, because of all the extra air that's in there, because your hydraulic system doesn't like air. And everybody that's already subscribed, I really appreciate you guys watching my videos. Really, 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 really appreciate you. And I'm still working on trying to do some kind of giveaway, but I just haven't got everything figured out yet. But it is coming, so don't give up on me. So appreciate you watching, and I hope you guys have a good one.